think it was Eric Butterworth that talked about one of the distinguishing features of unity, and that is that we aren't as interested in the religion about Jesus as we are in the religion of Jesus. In other words, what were the principles he was teaching? What were the principles he was talking about? I don't think that he was calling our attention to him personally. There are several instances where he seemed to be saying, I'm not the one that you worship. You know, there's only one that's good, and that's God. And yet, he is the object of worship in mainstream Christianity, which we're not part of. All of us probably have had some experience with it. I grew up in it I was a kid, and I should say I didn't ever grow up. But I was a kid, while I was a kid, I was in it. So, and I think I did grow up in the sense that I started asking questions, that the answers that started coming to me, I guess they were so complex, and I didn't think they were at the time, just simple things. But you just have to accept it in faith. We don't know all the answers. We don't have to know all the answers, but in God's good time, that will be revealed to you. Well, I don't think that's what Jesus was about. I think he was about opening people to something deeper, a deeper level of their being. He said, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So what does that mean? He was telling people they could have a different experience. They could have a new experience right where they were, right in the midst of their life. To know the truth, and the truth sets you free. Well, what is that? What is the truth? Pilate asked Jesus when he said, are you a king? And Jesus said, no, I'm not a king. He said, I came here to bear witness to the truth. And Pilate said, what is the truth? And Jesus didn't answer him. And I can imagine why, because Pilate, it would have gone right over his head. He was not interested in truth. He was between a rock and a hard place, and he was trying to find a way out. It was a political situation, and Jesus wasn't too helpful in his, but he could find nothing wrong, so he stands outside and says, I can't find anything wrong, with this guy. But he didn't understand him. He didn't care to understand him, I'm sure. And I think that's where so much of the world is. We want a religion about Jesus. We want somebody to tell us how we're supposed to think, how he wants us to think. But I think Jesus was actually saying, it's time for you to think. It's time for you to become aware. And that's what we want to do. That, to me, is what the whole spiritual thing is. If I am created in the image and after the likeness of God, as we all are, what does that mean? What that would mean, if you just take it at face value, is there's something divine of all of us, and it's here. And the question that we have to ask ourselves, if that's true, then why am I not experiencing that divinity? Why am I not experiencing that level that a child of God, an expression of God, should be experiencing? Why do I feel unsettled? Why does it feel like every time I set a goal for myself and achieve it, that I enjoy that for a short time, and then it goes away? That feeling of success, that feeling of gratification, it never lasts that long. And I think about that in my own life. I've set goals for myself all my life, and I think it's a good thing to do, to set goals. But to ask ourselves this question, what is the goal of our goal? Why are we setting a goal? What are we trying to actually achieve? Is it a thing? Are we trying to add a new thing to our life? How many of you think you have enough things in your life? How many of you have things in storage? How many? I can help. I discovered Facebook Marketplace. You ever use that? you can get rid of your things that way. I got rid of a bunch of things. I sold over $1,400 worth of things in one day. But I'm still not happy. It was great for the day. It felt great. I thought, boy, this is easy. I'll just do this every day. And I'm getting off the subject, but we have things. And so isn't that interesting? You buy a thing and it makes you happy, but it also makes you happy to sell it. But how long does the happiness connected to both sides of that last? That's what they say about boats. You know, Beth reminds me sometimes about the boats that we have had. Well, I don't remember how many we had exactly. That's not what I'm talking about. And the boat we have currently is in your name, by the way. So I did not have that one. You have that one. Anyway, she went down and got the license for it, so that's why it's in her name. But where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, they say about a boat, the two best days, the day you buy it and the day you sell it. That's true with a lot of stuff that we have. The point is, what are we trying to achieve when we bring something new into our life, when we acquire something, when we purchase something? It always feels good. There's a bit of a rush around it. Or when we get a degree, you're going to get a degree one of these days, right? That's a great feeling. I remember the day I was ordained and the day I graduated from ministerial school, from seminary. It was a great feeling. But what does that mean? What did that mean when that happened to me? It's an ending, it's an accomplishment, but what's that mean? We start something new, right? We start a new path. It's a career. So do you step into a career and you're happy the rest of your life in that career? Or does that career pose a few challenges? Or you get married like Al and Yvonne. They're going to be happy the rest of their lives. You know, I know they are. Never have an argument, never disagree, never do anything of that stuff. They'll be the first, right? So we're not saying let's not do these things, but what is the goal of our goal when we're trying to acquire something, when we do acquire things? That's what we want to look at. So this whole unity thing is really about looking at what is going on in the world in which we live. And what is that world? Is it the world of things and people and circumstances that we're engaged in? Or is it this inner thing that goes up when we buy something we want and down when it doesn't satisfy us? You know, that's kind of a roller coaster ride. I have found that it's like a stock market, you know, bar chart. It goes up and down all the time. But there is a deeper level that does not change, that is always at that maximum level. And we're so rarely there. We so rarely touch that because we're thinking, you know, I don't feel so good today, so I want to add something more to my life so I'll feel better. Or I want to do something. I want to go out and have some fun. Reward myself somehow with something to do where I will feel better about myself. And that is fun. I mean, we don't want to, you know, become hermits and just go off on our own and not participate in life. All right, let me just get on this here. I came up with two terms that I want to share with you. I've talked about them before, but some of you have not heard how brilliant these are, so I think I'll share them again today. But I've talked about two kinds of thinking: conclusionistic thinking and evolutionistic thinking. Conclusionistic thinking assumes that it is a lack of something that stands between you and your happiness. According to this logic, you must strive to acquire that thing if you are to be happy. Have any of you ever done that? You know, we all have done that, right? It's like, if I just get there, if I just finish this thing, I'll be happy. And, you know, I've noticed that when I've done many weddings through my life, and I've noticed, I think sometimes brides don't realize there's a marriage attached to the wedding, that there is a life that you assume after that. And it's like, okay, so we have this big pageant and all, and my favorite kind of weddings are the one we had like Friday with 4 or 5 people there, and just very, and you guys know what you're getting into and all that stuff. So it's, and there's a certain amount of pageantry to all of it, and that's fine. But life really begins at that end. You know, that the ceremony or whatever situation is, the graduation or whatever it may be, is the end of something, and then life begins. And you relish that accomplishment or that passage for a time, but then life shows up again. You know, there you are. Wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And that's conclusionistic thinking. When I get through this thing, when I achieve this thing, I'll be happy. Something I'm lacking will be added. And that's a very common way of thinking. Most of us do it. And probably most of us do it most of the time. So it's not a criticism. It is simply, let's look at this. You know, are we doing this? Am I involved in a situation right now where I think, you know, when I get to the end of this, when I accomplish this, when I buy this, when I get moved, when I do whatever, you know, we all want to get over those humps. But I'll be some other person. I'll be a happy person. Is that how we're thinking about something right now? Evolutionistic thinking, it begins with the assumption that you are already complete, that the state of happiness is not induced through the acquisition of external things, but is rather evolved or brought forth from your own inner depths. So in other words, it's not the thing that makes us happy, it's not the accomplishment that makes us happy, that the potential for happiness is already there. It's already present. We're whole. We're complete. We don't need anything added. If we didn't accomplish that thing, we would still be okay. We would still be okay. And that's really a very powerful place to be. If you're in a situation that's pending, you don't know if it's going to work out or not, and you're wringing your hands and you're staying awake at night. When you get to the point where you say to yourself, I don't care if this works out or not. I would like it to work out, but if it doesn't, I'll be okay. I'm okay. I'm whole the way I am. That's a very powerful place to come from. So you then enter that situation from a point of strength rather than, I've got to have this. I've got to make this happen. When you've got to make something happen, you sell your soul. You'll sell your soul. That's what I found out on Facebook Marketplace. There are people that want you to, you know, lower your price so much that you, and if you're thinking, I've got to sell this thing, you know, you'll sell your soul. You'll lower it till you shouldn't lower it, you know, that low. And what I've decided is, well, I don't have to sell it, so I'll just keep it. Take it off. Put it back up later. That's a place of power, unless you just want to get rid of it and you're willing to do whatever. But to sell your soul for a thing, you know, to accomplish a thing, is to say, I'm not really happy with what I did, but I just, you know, I got past it, and you're better coming from a place of power. Now, what this means when we talk about evolution, there are 2 terms that we really need to understand, because I don't think a lot of people really understand what evolution is. What evolution is, and I'm speaking in a broad sense, animals, us, you know, the earth, all the stuff that's going on. Evolution is all about adaptation. It's about individuals adapting to their environment. If somebody throws you in a swimming pool and you don't adapt, what's going to happen? If you just act like everything's normal, you know, you've got to swim, you've got to do something, you've got to adapt to the situation. Otherwise, you won't evolve. You won't keep going. Adaptation is what it's all about. Evolution is the long-term effect. It's the thing like when the water animal, the aquatic animal, comes up on shore one day and then goes back in. And it comes up and it stays a little longer and it goes back in and does that for long periods of time, then it lays eggs or has babies, and they spend more time on the shore. Pretty soon you've got a creature that walks on the shore, that just is out there on the shore or on the land. That's evolution. It's a long-term series of adaptations. So what this is, what evolutionary thinking is, it's adapting to what is true of you at the soul level. And that's a very important thing. It's not about evolving to a higher place. It's about adapting to the truth of who you are right now. So you're sitting here saying, I'm not a complete person because I need to accomplish this. I need to do this or that thing, and I'm not whole. So you've adapted to an idea that doesn't work, that will make you feel less than you are. So you will evolve as that person. And you will become addicted to that need to keep adding and keep drawing to yourself something to make yourself feel like you're more than you think you are. But what we want to do is adapt to the truth of who we are, to adapt to the truth of our wholeness. And you do that by saying, I don't have to have this thing to be whole. I'm already whole. Does that make sense? It's like adapting to the truth of who and what you are at this moment. I'm whole. So if this thing doesn't work out, does that make me less of a person? No. But that's where so many of us come from. We're so disappointed when something doesn't work out. And I understand that. I understand disappointment. I'm not trying to pass judgment on anyone or anything, because I know exactly what that feels like. I know what it feels like to feel diminished when something doesn't go through. You know, when I told you the story, when I first applied for ministerial school, I was rejected. And I'd already told everybody that I was going to go, and it was devastating to me. It just felt like I felt completely diminished by that. So it's, and I've had many of those experiences through my life, where something that you're really anticipating doesn't work out, and it just pulls the plug out, and all your air goes right out. But the thing to remember is the person that can be deflated is not you. And so what you want to do is adapt to the one that cannot be deflated. You know, get in touch with that deeper level. The goal of your goal is what, then? Is it to acquire or accomplish something? Or is it to know who you are? Isn't that really what we're trying to do? We're trying to add something to our lives so we will feel stronger, we will feel more powerful, we will feel better about ourselves. Isn't that the goal of everything that you try to accomplish? In some way, at some level. So, to understand that, while you are going through some transaction or some thing, that you already are that which you're trying to accomplish. You've already accomplished the goal of your goal. You are the goal of your goal. And so you enter that transaction with that attitude. I don't have to sell this. I won't be less of a person if I don't sell this or accomplish that or do whatever. I'm whole now. And so I adapt to that. I adapt to that truth. And I know I've made that adaptation by how I feel. Many of us go through life feeling incomplete, feeling unsettled. And what is that? What is that sense of being unsettled? It's like we're not on our center. We're not on our true self. And so with that feeling, we say, well, maybe I need to add something. Maybe I need a new job. Maybe I need to move to another place or whatever. And nothing wrong with any of those things, but what's the goal of the goal? Is it to add more of who I am to myself? So I'll feel better about myself. Is that what I'm trying to do? That's what we have to look at if we're going to get off of that merry-go-round, because it never accomplishes anything. Unhappiness, I believe, is the effect of trying to replace a sleeping aspect of your true nature with an external thing from which you are attempting to derive your security, your power, your peace of mind, or your identity. It's a long sentence, I know. Did you get it? Should I do it again? Okay. Unhappiness is the result of clinging to things that are less than you are at the soul level. Does that make sense? You're trying to cling to something, anticipating something, thinking if I have this, I'll be more than I am. Well, watch yourself when you get it. Watch this process that you go through. You'll be walking on air for a while, and then you'll slowly come down. Your feet will touch the ground again. Ow. You didn't think you were going to get a hard time at church, did you? And I'm not talking to you, I'm kidding you. Because I've done all of this. You know, I have thought, when that thing arrives from Amazon, I will be happy. And I'll be happy forever. I don't really think that, but you know what that's like. You go buy something new, and it does add something. It's fun. But just watch how long that lasts, and ask yourself if you've actually accomplished the goal, the actual goal of your goal. That thing was to make me feel more than I am, and pretty soon there's a waning, that unrest comes back, so I didn't accomplish my goal. I was not able to do that with this thing. And I think Jesus talked about the difference, God and mammon and all of that, and I think we sometimes try to draw those kinds of distinctions. Do I go for material life, or do I focus on the spiritual stuff? But how about to be in this world but not of it? That's really the goal. We're here. We don't want to deny this world. I've said that many times. Why would we come here and spend our lives denying it? Why would you come to earth, go to the problems of taking on a body, and then go sit on top of a mountain someplace and try to get away from it all? I think we're supposed to be engaged. I think that's part of what we're here to do, to give through social activity, interaction, and so on. But the problem is thinking that I've got to have that to be whole. And so we take another look at that. And we see that if we're unhappy, it's probably because we're clinging to things that are less than we are at the soul level. That means our happiness, the potential for happiness, is always present. And I've heard people criticize goal setting as a shallow, kind of a shallow thing, and I totally understand why I think that. We've had, over the years, had goal setting programs that, you get all hyped up and set your goals and all that, and then pretty soon it all flattens out, and you're the same old person that you were before. Nothing seems to work quite right. So there is a level of that it's all hype, and it's just, we have to kind of sort that out. But the goals that we all have goals. We're all here. We have interests, and we want to develop those interests. We're here to give. We're here to give from that level. And so we set goals. It's a good thing to set a goal. It's like when I write a book, I set a goal to finish that book. And it's sometimes, there's a lot of ins and outs. It's not a straight and narrow path. But the accomplishment of the goal actually brings out something more in you. It's not the goal itself. It's the doing. It's the creativity. You know what that creative mode is like if you paint or if you photograph, if you do music, if you do writing, if you do things, when you're in the process, it's very mind expanding and it feels good. That's what is so addictive about art of any kind. It's that process. It's not actually finishing the thing, because if you do art, the thing's never finished. You always see some way you can improve it, right? How many painters do we have here? Do your paintings ever, are they ever complete? There comes a time when you say, I'm done with it. That's it. Get out of here. But 2 weeks later, you'll walk by it and say, oh, there's a thing I need to fix. I do that with my songs. I do that with my writing all the time. It's like it, you just never quit. It's that process, though, that brings you alive. It brings more out of you. It doesn't create something in you. It brings out your creative self, that whole self. And that's what's exciting. When you are in the creative mode, that's your soul coming out saying, here I am. Let's keep doing this. But let's do it in the area of finances. Let's do it, on the job. Let's do it with our friends. Let's do it all the time, not just when we're doing this one thing. Because I'm here all the time. But you're saying I can only be let out when you're painting or you're writing music or you're doing whatever. Let's try to bring it out all the time. I think that's what we're here to do. Understanding where you're trying to go with your goal-setting activities is the most important key to getting there. There's often a vast difference between our stated goals and our actual goals, and that's just the thing that we sort out. And we do it kind of in this way, very simple. We understand the feeling that we're trying to achieve. I don't care what it is you're trying to accomplish in terms of a goal or, to acquire something or whatever. What are you trying to become in yourself? What will this allow you to do? What will this allow you to be? And just kind of think of that. How will I feel when I accomplish this? That's all you have to ask yourself to get that feeling. Here's what I want to experience. So there's nothing keeping you from experiencing that now. The fact that you don't have the goal is not the reason that you don't experience that. It's you're saying, I don't have that, so I can't experience it. But get in touch with what it is you're actually trying to accomplish. It's not the thing, it's something in yourself. You're letting yourself out. You're freeing yourself. The second thing is think of your goal and affirm this or something better. This frees you from an outcome that may not be for your highest good. The this or something better, when you focus on how you want to feel, it opens the door to other possibilities. Something maybe better than what you're asking for, trying to accomplish. Sometimes you can be really surprised by how things work out that you weren't expecting. You give thanks that your perfect solution is now coming forward. That's before the manifestation of whatever it is you're asking for. That you give thanks, as Jesus did when he broke the bread and the fish and the loaves, and passed them out. He gave thanks first and then began doing that. And that's a very important idea. It's like giving thanks sets into motion the manifestation. I already have it. I'm adapting to that deeper self. I'm whole now. I'm okay whether this works out or not. See the difference? It's like if I don't get that, I'm devastated. If I do get it, if I don't get it, I'm okay. All right? That's all you need to know. All right, thanks for coming out and have a happy Labor Day. How many of you are taking tomorrow off? Well, most of you don't work anyway, so. Isn't that nice? I'm not working. They say everybody accuses me of working 20 minutes a week. Well, it was 30 minutes this week, so. All right, thanks for coming out, and we'll see you next week.
You've been watching a talk presented at the Unity Church of Grand Junction by Reverend Doug Bator. We would like to thank everyone who joined us here today in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado, as well as those of you who are joining us online. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Also, please feel free to share this video with anyone you think might be interested or benefit from this message. If this video brought value to your life, please consider making a donation by clicking the link below to our PayPal donation account. Thanks again so much for watching.